Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing CHING number 79 is what we are on. We're creeping up. Oh my gosh. I can't wait till I do CHING number 100. Okay, so we're going to start in where we left off. The first thing that I have to share with you is a German. This is by Christian Ulbricht wooden Nutcracker. This one was of a highwayman robber. I won this at an auction. At one point I had won a bunch of German nutcrackers and smokers. If you guys have been watching my videos, you remember that haul that this came from. This did sell for $119.99. Next item I have, and I have a couple pieces of these that are in this specific CHING. At the auction, Eric had won a tray full of these vintage dollhouse furniture pieces by Ideal. These were called the Petite Princess dollhouse furniture set. There was a lot of different boxes on there with various dollhouse pieces. Really cute, very detailed. I loved how detailed these were. This first one was of a mantle fireplace that sold for $19.99. I can't remember exactly what he paid for the tray, but I think we made our money back and started profiting after the first two pieces that sold. Next thing we have is a Halloween themed teapot. This is by, the designer's name was called Becca Barton. It featured 3 witches on it. Very, very cute. I did pay, I think I paid about maybe $10 for this teapot, and it sold for $39.99. Next item was a pair of vintage boots by a company called SNOWLAND. I got these at a yard sale for $2. I debated on picking them up, but I had never seen anything like them before as far as that brand, and I knew that they were older, so I just decided to go for it, and those sold for $29.99. Next item we have is, and I debated on keeping this, vintage shiny bright. This was still in its original box, a set of 4 shiny bright putz houses. We won these at an auction. I say we spent at least $50 or so on them. I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it was in, you know, a haul video. Those sold for $149.99, so that was a great sale. Next item we have is a Reed and Barton Santa Claus head ornament. Found this off of Facebook Marketplace. This Reed and Barton ornament, found it off of Facebook Marketplace. I'd say I spent maybe $10 on it, maybe less. Anyway, it sold for $79.99. So definitely a brand to look out for when it comes to Christmas ornaments. Next thing we have is a set of 5 shiny bright Belle ornaments. These had kind of like a rainbowy ombre effect to them. I got these at a yard sale. They were in a Ziploc baggie for $1, and those sold for $25.99. This next item did go to a subscriber named Laura. This was a miniature bottle of GIORGIO red perfume that sold for $9.99. Next we have a little glass spiral snowman ornament. This came on a flat from an auction with just some other random like Christmas ornaments and stuff like that in it. That sold for $12.99. This was another random auction thing that was just on a tray of other items. This was a Bob Dylan cassette tape that sold for $3.99. Next item came from a yard sale. This was a vintage, brand new, still in the packaging, blanket. It was called Rambling Rose. It had a very like pretty like shabby chic look to it. That sold for $49.99. Like I said, I got that at a yard sale, and I probably paid about $5 for it. Next we have another piece of dollhouse furniture. This wasn't like a petite princess piece. This was just a little wooden dollhouse. You could use it as for like a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink. I can't remember exactly where I picked this up. It might have been at a fill-a-bag rummage sale. I do like picking up Dollhouse furniture when I see it. It does typically tend to sell. Not always for a lot by any means, but still, if you're picking it up for next to nothing, it's still good to pick up, I think. Anyway, that one sold for $9.99. I sold a vintage, these were marked West Germany putz houses. This was for a lot of 4, and they were just covered in mica glitter. Eric and I had won a bunch of putz houses, like a tray of putz houses at an auction, and what we did was we kind of separated them and put like ones together. Like all of these were all, you know, marked West Germany and looked the same. So that lot of 4 sold for $39.99. Next we have a lot of 14 Marilyn Monroe ornaments. These were by Bradford Exchange. I won a tray of these at an auction as well. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I always say, like, if you watch all my videos and you watch my hauls and stuff like that, you'll have seen me haul all of these items and, you know, what I paid specifically for them. This one here, this lot sold for $99.99. Alright, so we have another putz house. This was actually a church and it lit up. It took a battery and it actually did light up. That sold for $25.99. We have a clothing piece. This was a Chico's blazer that sold for $16.99. This probably came from a thrift store. I know I had it for a while. It's such a shame. I think Chico's clothing is so pretty. Like, this blazer was absolutely beautiful, but the resale value is just not there. It's just not there. Next we have a Kurt Adler. This was kind of like a lighted village piece. It was, the village was called Angel Heights, and that sold for $26.99. At one point, Eric had gotten like a bunch of these Kurt Adler Angel Heights village pieces at a yard sale, and I think we still have a couple pieces left, but for the most part, most of them have sold. We got another Petite Princess Dollhouse furniture set. This one was of a couch, and that also sold for $19.99. I sold a lot of 2 Avon lipsticks in the shade Sheer Raspberry Ice for $29.99. Next item was a vintage Sarah Coventry butterfly necklace. I picked this up at a yard sale. I probably paid either a quarter or 50 cents for it, and that sold for $12.99. I do have a couple jewelry pieces in this CHING. This next item was a pair of Joan Rivers clip-on earrings. These also came from a yard sale, and I'd say I spent maybe like $1 to $2 on those, and they sold for $25.99. Next item actually kind of surprised me. These were 2 really like small, I'd say about yay big, ceramic pixie elves. They were both marked Japan. I got these at an auction. I typically pick up pixies and elves and that kind of thing when I see them because they do tend to sell, not always for like, you know, amazing amounts of money. So that's why this surprised me so much. These little mini ones, for whatever reason, I put these up on auction and they sold for $86. They did go out of the country, so maybe that's why they went so high. Maybe it's harder for people out of the country who collect that kind of thing, you know, be able to purchase those types of things, especially if people don't offer to ship outside of the country. So that was a great sale because I didn't pay much for those at all. We got another lot of putz houses. This was for a lot of 6 that sold for $29.99. So the next couple items are the vintage Japan putz houses. This was for a lot of 2 that sold for $26.50. And then we also have a lot of 6 putz houses that sold for $31.99. This next item came again from an auction. These were little plastic airplane toys. They were marked Tim Me Toys was the brand on them. And surprisingly, these were actually worth something. These were actually just thrown on the same tray as the Putz houses. And I went ahead and I looked them up to make sure, you know, they were worth listing. And by goodness, they were. They sold for $29.99. One thing that I noticed at what I should say, one specific auction that I go to, where people will buy, you know, trays full of stuff, and there might be only like 1 or 2 things off the entire tray someone, you know, wants, and then they'll just throw the rest of the tray in the trash can. For the most part, some people will like ask around, you know, to people around them, like, hey, do you want anything off this tray before I pitch it? And some people will take stuff, but there are so many people that just throw stuff away if it's not something that they necessarily wanted on the tray, which I think is a little insane. I mean, sure, some of it really isn't worth anything, but until you really like look stuff up and make sure, they could be just throwing good stuff away. That's why when someone wins something on a tray and I see that they won something and say that's not, you know, what they actually wanted, I'll like be looking to see if they like went through it in the trash, because, you know, if it's in the trash can, you can take it out if you don't mind digging it out of the trash. So it's just, it kind of is, you know, a little mind-boggling at times. Side note. All right, so anyway, we are on to a Conair bath spa. This was brand new in the box. I actually found this at Goodwill at one point, so I probably paid maybe $6-7 for it. That sold for $89.99. So if you ever find these, it's definitely something people are looking for. It makes like your bathtub kind of like a spa type of thing, like it'll make the water bubble and that kind of thing. Next we have a Monsoon perfume. I found this at a thrift store for $2 and I sold that for $199.99. Next item we have is a top. It had a really pretty elephant print on it with like blingy rhinestones. It was by a company called Crazy Cat. I'm pretty sure I picked this up at a fill-a-bag rummage sale, and that sold for $9.99. I apologize, like my voice is still very nasally right now. I'm still have like sinus issues. They haven't gone away yet. I'm still dealing with them. So I apologize if I sound weird. Next we have a Claire Burke candle. This was on a tray at the auction that I won. It was in the scent Holiday Shimmer. That sold for $19.99 and I probably paid $1 for it. I sold a Kate Spade mug. This came from the thrift store. I had this for so long. For the longest time I was just using it for myself, but I decided to sell it. That sold for $9.99. I sold a Thrasher magazine shirt. I got this at a yard sale. I paid either a quarter or 50 cents for it, and that sold for $25.99. Next we have a vintage children's sleeper. This was by Tommy Tippy. That sold for $12.99. It was still in its original packaging. That probably came from a yard sale or a rummage sale, but I had that for a very long time before it sold. It did take a while. Got a Jack Daniel's shot glass. That sold for $57.99. That came from an auction. So I do still have some Jack Daniel's stuff. So there will be more of that in upcoming CHINGs, I'm sure. And I do still have a couple pieces listed. Next item was for a lot of 2 Avon Kohl eyeliners in the shade Plum. Those sold for $12.99. Came from an auction. Next we have another item that came from an auction. This was what I believe to be a handmade baby doll. had that Cabbage Patch Kids look to it. It was marked 1985. I paid $1 for that doll at the auction, and it sold for $39.99. Next item also came on a random tray from the auction. This was a Federal Reserve Bank of Detroit money deposit bag. Pretty sure that was $1, and it sold for $14.99. Next item also came from an auction. This was a Department 56 Village piece of Minnie Mouse. It was like it was called Minnie Mouse Sewing or something along those lines. That sold for $49.99. I sold a Kitty Wells autographed trucker style hat that came from a yard sale. I think I paid a quarter, 50 cents for it, and that sold for $25.99. This next item came from an auction. This was an old Popeye tin. It was called Wimpy's Musical Humburger, so when you blew into it, it made, you know, kind of like a musical sound. That sold for $59.99. And then the last thing that I have for this cha-ching also came from a yard sale. This was an underwater camera case by Light. I think I paid either $5 or $10 for it. I can't remember. But it was a case like, you know, like a hardcore underwater case for a camera to, like, you know, take into the ocean or like down into like a lake or something, like big body of water. That sold for $39.99. So that is everything for this cha-ching. As far as anything going on with eBay lately, haven't really been noticing too many problems. I did recently. This was a little aggravating. I had sold something, and I remember when I was looking at the shipping address, it looked kind of weird to me. I think it went to Texas, and I think some areas of Texas, they just have addresses that just look a little different kind of thing. So I kind of questioned it, so I messaged the person just making sure, like, hey, I just want to double check that your address is entered into eBay correctly, you know, before I print out the shipping label, because I sometimes have problems with people's addresses and things being returned because their address isn't correct. And so they messaged me back saying that yes, it was correct. So I went ahead and I printed out the shipping label and took it to the post office. So not even 10 minutes after I dropped this package off at the post office, I got another message from them saying that the address was not correct. So I went back to the post office after I had just left, and I asked the lady at the desk if she still had the package, and thankfully the package was like right on top of the other packages that I had. I knew what box that it was. And I had asked her, like, if I needed to completely void that label or if it was something I could just cross off and write the correct number down. And she said that was fine. And she said that the Texas addresses are a little funky. So, you know, what I thought was funky at the time, like, you know, it is, you know, they have funky addresses, I guess. Apparently my dog is on a barking spree. Eric's trying to play a video game, so I'm sure he's not happy about that. So anyway, yeah, I changed it and everything was fine, but it was just kind of aggravating. Like, I messaged them to make sure that it was correct, and, you know, they could have made it so it was correct before all of that had happened, but it didn't, you know, work out that way. And then just the other day, I literally had another package returned back to me because the shipping address was wrong. So it's definitely a problem that it seems to be a continued problem that I have been noticing, where people do not have their correct address on file. I still to this day Don't fully understand how or why that happens. I wish that there was some sort of fail safe there where, like, you know, if someone's putting in their shipping address, that eBay could like recognize it right away that it's not a correct address. I know, like, if you purchase shipping supplies on the USPS website, you know, if you have just ever so slightly, like if you put in DR instead of drive or that kind of thing, USPS will like fix it for you. Like it's something that it, you know, identifies straight away. So I wish that there was a way like that to just like cut down on these issues, because it's a pain. I mean, you know, obviously people want their stuff, but if they don't have the correct address in, they're gonna have to pay to, you know, have a new shipping label created for them and that type of thing. So it's just, it's a pain in the butt all the way around it, no matter how you look at it. And it's definitely something that seems to be a continued issue. But that's pretty much everything for this video. So you have to let me know. I know I've asked before if you guys have had many issues with people's addresses not being correct, but I definitely, like, I feel like it's a constant thing here lately, where, you know, it's consistently happening. So yeah, a little bit of a pain in the butt there with that, but that is everything for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You'll have to let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I will see you next time. And you're gonna let me get ya. Oh yes. Somebody wanted to make a little bit of an appearance here, didn't you? But you gotta say hi to the camera. You gotta look at the camera. Don't be shy. Look over at the camera. Amelia, look. Just say hi to everybody. Say hi. I'm going for my first puppy cut here soon. Yep. Guys, she lost 2 teeth already. Oh my gosh, she's getting to be not so much a puppy anymore already, and I'm not ready for it. But you just want to stay here and lay in my arms. Let's not go work, babe. Let's not go work, babe. I gotta put you down. I gotta put you. I'm sorry. I gotta put you down.